Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Chris here from Big Sports News, Axe Rotation, however the flip you know me on these interwebs. And today I'm going to be bringing you guys a quick preview of what to expect going into CDL Champs 2026 in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, hosted by Faze Vegas. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the action. Our first matchup of CDL Champs will see the hosts of Major 4, Paris Gentlemates, taking on Toronto Koi. And with this new look Gentlemates team, they're hot off of a top 3 finish at their home event. So I expect them to take that improvement with this new squad of Estriel, Joe, Ghosty, and Sib, and just build on that. I think they get a 3-1 over Koi, starting off their tournament with a pretty decisive win. Similarly for the LA Thieves, I think they have a pretty easy matchup against the Riyadh Falcons, Sans, Pred, plus Aluka. I think that with the addition of Aluka, the removal of Pred, I think it's not going to change much for the Falcons. I feel like their issues were more than one-fold in terms of the player personnel issues. I feel like it was really the whole team, just bad pairing. So I think it's a 3-0 for the Thieves. I don't think that this roster change will really do a lot. Feels like a band-aid solution. So that's why I'm thinking Thieves. Similarly, in the bottom half of Winners Round 1, I like FaZe Vegas here. I feel like they are not favored given the matchup against G2 on the season, but I feel like Mambo was kind of the player who made the difference in those series against FaZe. So I think that against this new G2 team with Envoy and Nasty, I feel like FaZe will be able to control the pacing a little bit better, and I feel like the result will be much different from what we've seen throughout the year. Now, in our last matchup of day 1, we have OpTic taking on their age-old rivals, formerly known as the Florida Mutineers, Florida Dave Patties, whatever you want to call them, now known as Miami Heretics. I think it's a 3-1 for the Green Wall. I think they start off champs pretty hot, and I think that's all she wrote. I don't think there's a lot of analysis to take away from that one. Miami on land just hasn't really had the juice, and OpTic has definitely had the juice in winners round 1 and 2. So, speaking of round 1, we of course would then see a battle of European teams. Toronto Koi would be taking on the Miami Heretics. If you guys didn't know, Koi is actually headquartered in Spain, so fun fact. But Miami, I think, is going to bow out here after a pretty decisive performance. It's just hard to put it past climax and Insight. You know, they're going to their 7th champs as a duo, tying Abizi and Sim for most all time. Hard to doubt those guys. I think it's a 3-1 for Koi. And Miami's just looked poor on land, so I'm not going to go with hot takes. I'm going to really just play the averages. Now, G2 versus Falcons, I think similar story. I think G2 is better than a Band-Aid solution Falcons, which is why I have a 3-1 for the G2 side over Riyadh. I don't think that Cell and Co. make it too deep in this tournament, honestly. Now, that means we'll go back to the winner side of things where we'll see the LA Thieves taking on FaZe Vegas if all goes according to plan. If all goes according to my plan, I see the LA Thieves getting a 3-1 victory over the FaZe Vegas boys. I think that honestly LA Thieves just have their number at this point in the season, and I think that that will really show in the result. Now, speaking of things that I think will show in the result, I think the OpTic Texas will pretty easily topple the Paris Gentlemates. I feel like they are just the better team between these two, especially in terms of the personnel. And with OpTic getting over that hump of winning Major 4, I feel like that will really be a strong catalyst for a deep run at this champs. So, kicking things off on Saturday, that means we would see the Paris Gentlemates taking on G2 Minnesota in a limb round 2 if all goes according to my plan. And I think the Gentlemates get a 3-2 if they see the G2 Minnesota side. Feel like personnel-wise and just based on the fact that both of these teams made swaps at the same time because Estriel went to Mates and then Joe joined about a week later. I think they're pretty even in terms of time practiced. And with all things being considered, I favor the personnel of Gentlemates just in a close game, right? Barring a absolute unseen, bad weekend from Sib or Ghosty, I feel like the Gentlemates should coast to top 4 from there. Now, I think FaZe Vegas take down their age-old rival, Toronto Koi. I feel like Simp always has to topple these guys at champs somehow, some way, unless Scrap's on the other side. But I don't see Kips and Abe being his hard counter at this champs. I think it goes pretty deep. I think this Toronto Koi team is way better and way scrappier than people want to give them credit for. and I think they will push Faze pretty far, but I think Faze win it in a game 5. So that means in the top half of the bracket, we would see in the winners finals, OpTic taking on the Los Angeles Thieves once again. I think LA Thieves, I think they just own the matchup against OpTic, so I think it'll be a 3-1 in their favor. I feel like Thieves are just dominant in the respawn pool, and especially after getting so much egg on their face in that Game 7 final, I think they'll definitely be out for blood when they play OpTic again, and I think they'll be way sharper in the way that they make their plays. So, I think in the bottom half of the bracket, we will see Faze taking on the Paris Gentlemen. I think it's a game 5. I think Faze get their get back. I think this all comes down to maps, and I think they will trade, but I think ultimately Faze will walk away as the victors, getting yet another top 3 placing for Simp. I think they chain that momentum into a strong showing on Saturday night at 9 p.m. I think it's a game 5. It couldn't go anywhere but game 5 for Faze versus OpTic, and I think somehow, some way, the green wall, I think it all comes to an end here. I think Faze book a ticket to their home champs final, and I think that Simp gets his 3rd ring. I think he wins it 5-3 against the LA Thieves. The unstoppable object meets the home cheese, meets the drum cheese, meets the crowd cheese, and I think that's how Faze get it done in 8 maps. So yeah, guys, that's about wrap it up for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and yeah. Sorry if this is a little bit out of sync. I did have to reshoot, so I just kept myself filling out the bracket. But yeah, catch you guys on the next one. Hope you enjoy champs, and hope you have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you may be on this beautiful planet. Once again, this is Chris Pig Sports News Exhortation. However, the flip you know me, these interwebs, and I'll see you guys with some highlights this weekend. So enjoy champs. Peace.